All right, welcome back to another review of the Falcon and Winter Soldier episode 5. This is going to be a spoiler review, so if you guys haven't watched episode 5, please go do so and then come back and hear our review. So, Boggs, is just going to be you and me today reviewing episode 5. The ladies aren't here, so it's guys' night. How's it going across the pond?
Yeah, well, good. Yeah, we kicked them out finally. Finally, just you and me, one to one, man to man. We can really, get into things. So no, just playing there. They're unavailable, but yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
another kind of impactful show. Episode. Lots of
Yeah.
impactful moments, hard hitting character moments, lots of memorable character things. So I'm sure we'll get into it. But yeah, apart from that, I'm all good. A bit sad that there's only one left. There's a lot to tie up, isn't there? So
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, it should be. I like this episode, and hopefully I like the final episode as well. But can't wait.
Yeah, I like this episode too. It's funny how I like it, and there's lots to talk about, but not really a lot actually happened.
Mm.
If you really think of it that
Story
way.
wise, yeah,
Yeah, story wise, it kind of took its time, which I'm okay with. But
Mm.
if you think like having 6 episodes, I don't know if it has time to kind of have an episode
Yeah, I
this
thought the same thing.
slow,
Mhm.
but at the same time, it's all the stuff we've been asking for, like since the show started, kind of happened in this one. So I guess they figured like, oh, we'll just put it all in one
Put it all in
episode.
one,
and then,
yeah.
and then like, because
I heard
next episode is gonna be like jam packed, all kinds of stuff. But let's just
Yeah.
get right into it. So obviously the episode starts off right where the last one left off. Walker's kind of just running into this warehouse, kind of having a little bit of flashbacks of him murdering the guy, and he can tell he's having PTSD already. A flashback into the murder, flashback into Lamar, kind of like giving him encouragement. He's like, why is this happening? And like, I didn't mean to do it. And then he kind of just like kind of pulls himself together and is like, oh, time to go to work. So let's just like stop right there before like they talk to Sam and Bucky. It's like, so Boggs, what are you thinking about like when we see Walker and we kind of just see him like struggling like with his decision to pretty much commit murder?
Yeah, it's obviously at this point he's so conflicted and just confused and tainted with taking the serum and not being the right character, right? Not
Yeah.
being the right of the right heart for the mantle, which we kind of learn later in the episode. It's this kind of the mantle isn't something that that the state supply or the state choose or the government choose. It has to be, you have to have the right values and you have to have the right heart, which he doesn't have. It shows like if you have the mantle and the kind of serum, like like the original Cap, and you don't have the heart, it can corrupt you. And you kind of saw it, in the warehouse. He's kneeling with the shield,
Yeah.
quite symbolic and stuff. And you're just seeing he's just like I said before, there was lots of shots of like the tilted cameras, like Gollum with the ring, that kind of thing. So, and you just knew that the confrontation was going to come with Bucky and Sam. I just liked how it started with you don't want to do this. He's like, oh yeah, we do, like Bucky.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I'm just glad they got right into it. It's like
yeah, exactly.
like they didn't waste any time, and that's kind of what I liked about the series so far. Is that like wherever the last episode leaves off, the next one just kind of picks up right where you want it to.
Pretty much.
And it's the same with this one. So you're right. So we'll pick it up from there. So Sam and Bucky pretty much just walk right into him, just like, all right, you got to give us a shield. And Sam pretty much says like, if you kind of explain yourself, they might take your record into account, which kind of later, which we'll get to, they kind of do.
Yeah.
And like you said, Bucky's like, well, he's like, Walker's like, you don't want to do this. And Bucky's like, yeah, we do. And then the fight kind of ensues. And I like that they still, I like how they're using Falcon indoors, using his wings and using, still be able to fight in a way that kind of makes it more, because he's at a disadvantage, seeing as how he's the only one of the three who doesn't have a serum. So I like how they're using his wing capability to kind of, give him a fighting chance necessarily. So I love their fight. What did you think about it?
Yeah, it was great. Really, it felt claustrophobic, really fast paced. Kind of, I thought Sam was in trouble for a second. When he got the wings tore off, and he had the shield. I thought, oh no, and Bucky saved him again. And yeah, I just like their kind of back and forth, because Bucky's just, the more you think about him, he's just such a badass. He's got this, this vibranium arm, and the other arm is like a super soldier, and he's got all this experience of being an assassin. He's just like a complete like fighter kind of thing. So
he's a
like
weapon.
you just feel like he can just like he's not going to lose to these people, you know, these random people who take the serum. It's just not going to happen. So you just kind of want to see him put a whooping on him, and they kind of did. You know, they teamed up. You know, like the visual of them teaming up, it was pretty cool to take him down. They kind of broke his arm as well, which is a bit graphic. And then they got the shield back, and you know, the kind of Sam wiping the blood off of it almost immediately. So yeah, that was kind of cool. Really cool fight. Such a fun way to start the episode. At least it like puts that to rest. Like, we've got the shield back, we've arrested him, now let's kind of move on with the story.
Yeah, I do like the fact that the first thing Sam did was wipe the blood off, because like that's part of Cap's legacy, and you don't want that, like, that blood should never be on that shield.
Yeah,
especially cold blood. So I like the fact that the first thing he did was like wipe the blood off. And I also like the fact that Bucky, once they kind of like double teamed on Walker and like knocked him out, that Bucky picked up the shield and pretty much just dropped it and said, like, this is yours. This isn't mine. Because he kind of looked at, when he picked it up, he looked at it and then dropped it. It's like, this could be mine, but I don't think I'm worthy. I'm giving it to you, Sam. And
as well, I caught that as like frustration as well. Like, this should have been yours this whole time. Like, and he just drops it in frustration in front of him. Like, here, like, take it back. Like, don't give it away again, kind of thing.
Almost, yeah. I mean, that's a very good point, because like if you like, all this could have been averted if you didn't give it up in the first place. Absolutely.
He said that. He said that the whole series, right? So
yeah,
it's just frustrations with Sam about not taking it. But we see he softens on that thought throughout the episode. So. Yeah.
Real quick, do you think like if Bucky didn't interview, you think Walker would have killed Sam? Because I kind of think he did.
Yeah,
he would have.
Yeah. He had the shit like the same way he killed the other guy. Like, he's got armor. I don't know how he would have, maybe would have lasted a bit longer. I don't know.
If you go for it,
he's in trouble. He's in trouble. And I do. You're right. I do like the subtlety of Sam being involved when he has to be involved with, like, he's kind of just defending himself, or it's like he just uses like his momentum, or like he barges someone, or because he can't fight with him. You're right, so he can't fight with him, but he's got the experience obviously of being, an Avenger, being a soldier, so he kind of knows our time. So he's got the weaponry, got the armor, got the tech. So I do like that. But yeah, he was in trouble. I thought he would have killed him. Yeah, I thought he's that kind of corrupted now.
He's desperate.
I thought he was. Yeah.
Well, the other thing is, like, he was telling Sam and Bucky, like, I had to kill that guy. I just had to. He killed Lamar, and they're like, well, you didn't actually kill Lamar. Like, don't try to play it off like you were just, like, you killed that guy in cold blood. He didn't even commit the murder, so
he knows he didn't kill him. I
know, but he's like, you can see him like try to justify it in his own head, own head canon. Like, no, he killed Lamar. And it's like, just calm down there, guy. You murdered a guy in cold blood. So, that whole fight I think was great. And again, all that before the opening credit of like the caption of Falcon and Winter Soldier. So that was great. So then we cut to them pretty much talking with Sam and Bucky, pretty much talking about Carly, and then she's off the grid, and then they have no idea what to do, and kind of Torres is coming in, so like, oh well, she's off the grid, and the government's kind of like taking jurisdiction, and Sam is just like, well, we'll see what happens, and then he picks up the shield. And then, and then he walks off, and then Torres asks, well, what do you want to do with your wings? And he's like, nah, you keep them. So that could be them alluding to Torres, because in the comics, Torres picks up the Falcon mantle, and you can see, obviously, we all know where Sam's going. So I love that his wings were there, the shield is there, he picks up the shield, leaves the wings. So do you think they're actually going to make Torres the new Falcon, or that's just like a wink to us if you know what happens in the comics?
Yeah, a bit of both, really. So, yeah, it was a bit of an obvious wink. Like, he literally said, no, I don't want them. I've got the shield. Well, not literally, but it was like a, metaphor kind of thing. But yeah, no, it was just nice. I do kind of like Torres as well. Like, I just feel like he's just like, he's just like a simple man in this whole story, if that makes sense. Like, he just comes across as like an everyman. Like, obviously you've got superheroes and super soldiers and terrorists, and he's just like a regular guy. Like, oh, like let me do some work for you, and give you some info, and yeah, like he's like Sam to Cap, basically. That's how I felt. Yeah, and obviously that does come from the comics. It gets passed down and stuff. So yeah, I did kind of get that, but I don't know if he'll do it by the last episode. Because it doesn't seem like there's that much time to get the tech sorted, right? But yeah, we'll see. I mean, he seems to be into tech and that kind of stuff, so maybe he might find a way of how to fix it. But I don't know if we're in time for the last episode. But yeah, I think that'll be because they're his wings after that.
Well, I do hope. I mean, if it does happen, I hope there's another step to it. Only because I think if he jumps right in, I don't know, it'll feel kind of forced.
Yeah.
Because we haven't spent a lot of time with Torres, and then for him to just automatically then just to kind of jump into being Sam's sidekick or partner, however you want to phrase it, would just feel a little unearned.
Yeah, it's like the mantle has to be passed, not rather than you keep him. Like, do you know what I mean? It needs to be a bit more of a. Yeah, like maybe he needs to trial it or something, and then like Sam have a back and forth with him, a bit of banter, like in a fight scene or something, that kind of thing. So yeah, I did get that as well.
You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of Iron Man 1 when Rhodey like walked by the suit and then just said next time. So like if there's something where, especially if there's a season 2 of Falcon and Winter Soldier, then I can see like in the second season, we get a little bit more time with Torres. We get a little bit more backstory of him, get to know him a little better. And then somewhere in that second season, he picks up the mantle. I would feel more comfortable and satisfying with that. But you're right. If he like dons the wings next episode, I'd be like, we really don't even know this guy. And yet he's like, he's his partner already.
Yeah, it would be a little weird. That's like, well, I'm just assuming that there's just one season, because it hasn't been announced, right? So hopefully it does. I want to see a second season, definitely. But yes, that would be an ideal way to bring him through. I agree.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. I mean, it's weird because they already announced Loki having a season 2, and it hasn't even aired yet. So you're right. That could be wishful thinking on my part. But again, we don't know. If there's going to be a season 2, we don't know where the next episode is going to splinter out into other things, because obviously in this show, we can already see that there's a possibility of other shows being created out of this one. So, so we cut to the hearing where the government pretty much, kind of like what I was saying last review, that they were going to throw him under the bus, and rightfully they did. They just pretty much like, all right, we're stripping you of the title of all your jurisdiction there. We're going to give you an honorable discharge. You're not going to have any they
pay your benefits.
Yeah, pay your benefits. Pretty much effective immediately. And he was pretty much just like, this is a mandate, and I've dealt with all your mandates before. I've done everything you've asked me to do. You guys don't understand. And him just being like just defiant and just walking out on them while they're talking. It was just like, it was just very interesting to watch. Bogz, your thoughts?
Yeah, just him saying, "You built me."
Yeah,
as
exactly.
If it's like, this is your fault. This is the consequence of it, and he's kind of right. This is the they put him up on the pedestal. They gave him the mantle, but it does come back to him. That's what I mean. So that on the surface, that's what it is. Yeah, it's like they are part responsible, and the Captain American mantle and the shield isn't something that you can just give to any Tom, Dick, and Harry or any good soldier. They have to have the moral compass. They have to have the values. So yeah, which he obviously doesn't have. So I think it was kind of both are responsible there, the government, the state, and the man himself, the individual. So it was just kind of confirmation for both. But yeah, he obviously just stormed off, which was like he's I don't know, he's understandably angry in a way, because he feels like he's been put under the bus, but he did kill those people and that kind of stuff. So in a way, he's got away with it, kind of thing. So I mean, so super interesting.
Yeah, I mean, they were pretty much like, lucky you're not getting any more. I mean, like, well, he murdered a guy, and all he's really getting is dismissed. Like, he's not going to go to jail. He's not going to pay a fine. He's not going to do anything. He just gets to walk away. So I mean, in theory, he's getting away with murder, and the government just like, yeah, bye. I mean, You're right. I like the fact that he said you built me, but like they built him up is what I think they did. And it would have been interesting if the show was longer to kind of see how they recruited him, because I think that's also interesting too. How much did they actually vet this guy? To see like if he was like, because obviously on paper he's got the 3 medals of honor and all that nonsense, but like mentally, like did they put him through any mental test to see like if he was mentally prepared? Because obviously on paper he's got the goods, and I like the fact that they've established that in the first episode. Like on paper, he's a perfect candidate. But like if the show was longer, I would have liked to see like them recruiting him.
100%. They do it in the first Avenger, right? That's how they show us how they recruit people, right? So yeah, it's definitely. I would have liked to see that as well. I thought we were going to see that, like flashbacks.
At least
not thought. Like I would have maybe liked to have seen it. His relationship with Lamar, how that's maybe like in war, like a like a Cobra Kai kind of in Vietnam, kind of like a few years ago backstory kind of thing. Yeah. So I presume that they were going to do that kind of stuff, but obviously we didn't get it. But it was a little confusing. Like, oh, is he in trouble? Oh, is he not in trouble? Like, oh, he can just walk out and just go about his business. So
it was like
it's because of who he is, right? Because they built him up to this guy. He can get away with murder. He's a part of the establishment, and they give him a slap on the wrist and off you go. So very surprised.
I mean, it's they threw him under the bus, but not really. Like we're only gonna let one tire hit you. Not gonna let all 4. Like like bad, but but you still get to live, and you don't have to go to jail or anything. So it's like they threw him under the bus, but not really. Which is like that's very interesting. Obviously his wife is there, who we haven't seen since episode 1. So that's a little weird. Because like where's she been? Like you would think that he would have had some kind of conversation with his wife this whole time. Because you could see calls. Because you could see like as the show has gone on, he's been stressed out and frustrated about the role, and even like Bucky and Sam whipping his ass. You could just see like even taking the serum, he's still getting his ass whooped. So you could just like see that like the man just can't seem like he can't do anything right. So obviously after he storms out, his wife is trying to console him, and he's like they just don't understand what it's like to be Captain America. And she's like, well, don't worry about that. Let's try to put this behind us. You can start to rebuild your image. And then this lady starts to walk up, and this is the surprise cameo that they've been teasing. And I gotta tell you, once it was revealed that it was Julie Louis-Dreyfus, I was just like, wait, what? She's in the MCU now? I would have never guessed it whatsoever. And her name is Countess Valentina Laregla Delafane. It's like, that's a name. Or she's like, or just call me Val. And I'm pretty sure that they're just gonna go by Val, because that whole name is a mouthful. Now in the comics, she's been several different people. She's been Madam Hydra. She's been like part of Shield, and all. So we don't really know exactly where she's gonna fit in. So she kind of like literally puts herself right in the middle between Walker and his wife. Explains to him like, oh yeah, you were justified to kill that guy. You should have killed them all. Yeah, you did the right thing. I understand you. And she's like, I know you took the serum. I know that. Don't worry about that. And you're very valuable to certain people. Who those people are, she didn't reveal. And she told him, don't worry about the shield. I know you don't have it. And here's a dirty little secret. The shield doesn't belong to the government. It's a little gray area. Because they did ask for it back. She's like, don't worry about that. And she's like, the best thing you can do now is pick up the phone when I call you. And she's like, well, we'll talk to you soon. So that's just opening up the door to a lot of possibilities. So Bogz, what do you think about that?
Yeah, and I haven't read the comics as of late, to be honest. When I say late, I mean 5-6 years plus. So I didn't actually know who she was. So I didn't know she was Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. or Madam Hydra. I've kind of found this out afterwards. So yeah, interesting. So kind of to see where that will lead. And I thought she was quite funny as well. She kind of gave the card with no details on. And she was quite dismissive of his girlfriend, kind of facing him directly and completely cutting out the the spouse and stuff. So yeah, I mean, super interesting, but it is at this point like no real impact because we don't know who she's talking about, we don't know who she's representing.
Yeah.
There's yeah, so it's a bit up in the air. For me, it was just a cameo, to be honest, because there's no other context that we have as of right now. But yeah, I did like it. I mean, it just gave him. It was just like let me just rub his shoulder, pat his back. Let me just tell him he's a good boy, and he's still needed elsewhere. But yeah, I don't know who she's representing. It could be, I know, it could be something interesting. We'll see.
I mean, it could be the Thunderbolts. It could be like that's the first thing that came into my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Was that because in the comics he was part of the Thunderbolts, so we don't know. I do like the idea that she's like you become valuable to certain people. So she is going to be playing a role going forward. They actually switched gears. She was actually supposed to appear in Black Widow,
that, yeah.
And then they kind of pulled her out of that and put her into this. So she's going to be around for a while, and it might be the fact that she could just be recruiting.
Because didn't I read somewhere that she had a relationship with Nick Fury?
Nick Fury in the comics, yeah. So like we don't know what area they're gonna pull in terms of what her relationship was in the comics in this, but I just like the fact that she's a name that I never would have guessed would be in the MCU, and now she's like, I guess like at this point, no one is off limits because I think everybody wants to be a part of this superhero game because it's the best thing in town, especially the MCU. So it really, I guess now it's easy to say like I wouldn't be surprised who they can get now because they can pretty much get anybody.
Yeah.
Once they got Robert Redford, I'm like you can get anybody at this point.
Exactly.
So I
love retirement as well. They got him.
Well, yeah, and then he's just like, yeah, I'm going back. And I even love like when she squeezed in the middle. Her positioning was literally just like, forget your wife right now. Forget what she's saying. Listen to what I'm saying. Like, just kind of like, shh. So that was kind of interesting too, just the framing of it all. But either way, I'm just curious to see where she pops up next. Because that's going to be interesting. But anyway, moving over, like, so the GRC pretty much, so the Flag Smashers go back to their camp. They can see the GRC's kind of cleared it out, and they're just kind of super frustrated, like they don't understand. And then they're like, well, we gotta figure something out. We gotta figure out what our next move is. So the Flag Smashers have just been, like, this whole series has just kind of been like, I get what they're doing, but I'm really just not on board with their whole story. Carly, I get, but just the Flag Smashers as a group, their whole cause isn't necessarily is my least favorite part of the series. Like Carly, I 100% get. I wonder if it would have made even more sense just to kind of have her as a kind of like a lone wolf in a sense, kind of like she just kind of wants to do this thing because she's a super soldier. I mean, obviously she needs lackeys for everybody else to fight. I get that, but just the group as itself, I'm really not buying it as much. Bogz, your thoughts?
Same thing. I've said that the whole way through. Carly is the most interesting one, clearly. But I think because we haven't spent enough time with the GRC team. I think we did in this episode. We had a scene or two with them, the delegates and having meetings and stuff. So we did see the kind of hierarchy of that. But without spending time with them, we don't know what they're fighting for. We don't know their kind of their intent or we have no sympathy for the Flag Smashers. They're fighting against what the GRC represent, but we don't know how they worked, or we don't know kind of the decisions they made or anything. So we just know that the agents act like mini Hydra type people, or they've obviously recruited that. Is it Dovik, the George St. Pierre character? Other than that, we don't know. Like, you're right. I mean, they are definitely my least favorite part of the series. There's no further. Yeah, they're just kind of we don't know what they're fighting really still. We haven't seen it. Or enough of it. So yeah, I don't really care, to be honest, about them. It's more Carly, the more interesting one, but the rest I don't have no real interest.
Yeah. Again, I mean, I think as we were saying with Walker and Lamar, I would love to see because they're pretty much in every episode. They don't play a large part.
Yeah.
But somewhat a part. I would love to see more backstory of them when they actually took the serum. Why they took the serum. I would have loved to see the GRC bust in to kind of motivate Carly and them to take this, like what actually pushed them over the edge to actually do it. Like again, I mean, we got 6. I think we could have used 9. Like that's even without seeing 6. Probably could have used 9. Maybe 10. Who knows? But either way, so Sam. So first we cut to Zemo in Sokovia. He's at the memorial that he mentioned. Bucky shows up, and Zemo's like, you know what? I've decided not to kill you. It's like, oh, thank you, Zemo, for not wanting to kill Bucky. And he's pretty much telling him like, hey, you know, Carly's kind of stepped over the line. You guys are gonna have to do something. And Bucky's like, we'll handle it our own way. And then the Demolage come in, and they kind of just like, you know, we're gonna take him to the raft. And I'm just curious about like how Zemo's gonna get away, because we know he's not going to the raft. So how is he gonna get away from them? Is going to be very, very interesting. I hope it's not. I hope it's a just way of getting away, because obviously he's going to get away. He's not going to the raft, or he gets bust, or maybe he goes to the raft and they somebody busts them out. But the Zemo's not going to be rotting away in the raft. And Bucky pretty much tells Io to like he needs a favor. And then we kind of learn later what that is. But Bogz, your thoughts about Bucky and Zemo and the Demolage coming and taking him away?
Yeah, I was a little underwhelmed. Him just being kind of his departure, just being marched away. Basically, like he's such a good character. He's so funny. He can bring a lot to the thing. I really liked his kind of relationship with Sam and Bucky. I'm not saying stay with them, but I would like to see his kind of departure in the series be a bit more, dramatic or a bit more epic, because I think he deserves that as a character. We didn't see him enough with a mask. I don't feel like,
no.
So I don't know if he'll go to that raft place, or not. But I was a little underwhelmed. I would have liked to just seen him because even his storyline, like they just used him to get to Carly, and that was it. Like there's no real impact he's had on the story. I thought he was going to, double cross them or turn on him or team up with a power broker or something, a bit more dramatic. I would have liked to have seen, because he's good enough of a character and kind of just important enough. So I would have liked to have seen him leave the show a bit better. But I was a little bit underwhelmed with that, him just being marched away like that.
Well, I don't think he's gonna. I mean, we still got one episode. I still think he's gonna have an impact, because I would like to have him have one more conversation with Sam and Bucky, the 3 of them. And I still think we might get that, because I don't think he may not even make it to the raft, to be honest. He might not make it there, and if he's getting there, someone's busting him out. Like, and I think the show is setting him up for greater things, so this isn't going to be the last we see of him. But I do want to see at least him have one more conversation with Sam and Bucky, especially after the Carly thing has been settled. However, it's going to be settled, whether they let her go or she gets killed or what have you. Because I mean, we've seen in the trailers, Sam's at a funeral with somebody. And so we still don't know who that is. Obviously, it looks like it's not Lamar. So whose funeral is that? So I'm guessing it's Carly's, because I really don't think she's getting out of this series alive. So she's going to be fodder for somebody who I don't know. So I do hope that he does have a scene with them. And I do like the fact that he had that scene with Bucky where it looked like Bucky was going to shoot him. We knew Bucky wasn't going to. Yeah. But the fact that Zemo just stood there and just kind of like, I'm curious to see what you're going to do. If you're going to do it, do it. Like the fact that he didn't flinch or anything, because I think he was ready if he were to do it. Like just like how he was ready at the end of Civil War to shoot himself. I think he would have been ready's not the wrong word, but I think he would have been like, if this is how it's going to end, this is how it's going to end type thing. If you're Bucky, you're going to kill me now. Obviously, we knew he wasn't going to. But you're right. I do hope this isn't the last of him. I would almost bet that it's not. A, in this series, and B, in the MCU going forward. It just can't be. I think he's the new Loki. Yeah, that's what I think he's going to be. I think he's the new Loki, where he's just going to be around, having his own agenda, doing his own things. Maybe he'll help the heroes. Maybe he won't. He's really helping the heroes to help himself. Because that's kind of what he's been doing this whole series. Is like, I'm helping you, but I'm really, getting rid of the super soldier system, which helps me.
Right.
So it's like, that kind of situation. So again, I hope that it's not the last we see him. So obviously we cut to Sam in Baltimore, going to see Isaiah. This is the kind of conversation I've been waiting for the show to have since the trailer dropped. Since Sam got the shield, like, I was hoping that it would be with the government, but having it with Isaiah is just as important anyway, maybe even more so. So obviously he talks to his grandson playing hoops. He's like, I'm gonna speak to your grandfather. Curious to see if they ever do anything with him. Obviously, because
presume they will. Yeah,
presuming they will. But if they do, they gotta give us more than what they've given us already. So maybe they're just like playing the seed to water it later and it bloom later. But either way. So they go in and he's talking to him, and the first thing Isaiah tells him is like, "Yeah, don't take that shield out. Like, those stars and stripes don't mean anything to me." And then he's like, and then Sam is telling him like, "Don't give me that bitter old man stuff." He's like, "Well, if you ain't bitter, you blind," kind of thing. So I love their back and forth and pretty much their whole conversation of pretty much Isaiah just explaining to him his story about like them giving him the serum to a whole bunch of black people, just black soldiers, like, and seeing how it reacted on them and them dying off and then being sent on a mission and them not wanting to send him and then he busting them out anyway, being put in jail and experimenting on him, showing him his scar, and then a nurse pronouncing him dead, and then it pretty much is like. And then Sam's like, "Well, we need to call somebody. Let's get you back amongst it." Like, no, like, I'm dead. Let me stay dead, because if they find out I'm alive, I'm a dead man. They'll come and get me. And I love that he said they'll never let a black man be Captain America, and no self-respecting black man will ever want to be. So I love the fact that he said that to Sam, and Sam's kind of reaction to it, because it's funny how when they talk about black men, especially in America, they think that one black person will speak for all of us. So when Isaiah is saying that, he's saying that for himself. He's not really saying that to Sam. He's just saying like, "Hey, I don't think the government would ever let me be Captain America, and if they did, I wouldn't want to be it." So, Bogz, your thought about that conversation? I thought it was like it was needed and wanted, and I like that he didn't like sugarcoat it. They just pretty much came right out and said what they wanted to say.
I thought it's about time. Like you said, we waited for that since the trailer. Like these type of discussions, because we didn't know 100% that they were going to happen. We were hoping, and I'm really glad that they did. Yeah, and it was kind of hard hitting. Interesting dialogue as well, super interesting. First of all, the story that you mentioned Isaiah told, and him saving the other super soldiers and then being put in jail for it, then being experimented on and tortured in effect, and being mistreated that whole time, and then talking about his wife as well, which kind of you brought the sympathy there, and then going on to and then very kind of disrespectful remarks towards Captain America, to say that white man, and like talking about that white man's shield and that white man's legacy, and I'm like, wow, because you're as the audience, you're in Sam's position, because you're like, oh, you have that love for Captain America, but he's kind of right too. So he's got his points, and especially him from his point of view, from his experience, right? You're like, you 100% get why he says that, because he could have been a Captain America, right? He was there, kind of as well, but he, due to discrimination or whatever, then he had to go through what he went through for Sam to be where he is, maybe. And him having the kind of shots at saying, oh, no self-respecting black man would take the mantle. Of course, like you said, that's his perspective. But at the same time, Sam be a part of the, like I said, the values of Captain America and who he has and who he is and the values and things like that. So you can take bits and pieces from other kind of walks of life, other people's point of views, perspective. Like you can hear, obviously we see this come to fruition later, but you can hear what he's saying. Like the establishment didn't want a black man there. Like I had to go through this pain for the for the system's mistakes, or for Captain America, for Steve Rogers, I had to go. I was the one experimented on. He didn't have to go through this. And I'm just leave me be now, let me be. And I even found interesting Sam saying, I know people, like, I'm an Avenger, basically. That's what I heard him, like, in effect, that's what he was saying. I'm an Avenger, let me help you. And he was saying, no, just let me be. Like, and I thought, even just like as he was explaining, I was thinking, oh, I wonder how good he is now. I wonder how powerful he is now. I was still just want to see a fight scene of him. Obviously, I know he threw like that. I think it was an ashtray or sweets or something. He got stuck in the wall. I just want to see what he can do now. It's just as an old man, as like an old Captain America 2.0 kind of thing. So I don't know why. Yeah, I thought it'd be cool to see. But yeah, I just like the kind of lesson that Sam had to learn there, of the additional kind of Captain America legacy things that he didn't know. Or maybe he partly knew, or he found out earlier, maybe from Bucky, but he got the extra information to help him move forward in his character journey and in his story element. So yeah, some super interesting things. And and I felt like the disrespect of he was given to Steve Rogers, and because initially you're like, oh my god, like, don't say that, and then you're like, but then you kind of hear him more and more, and you understand his frustration. You think, oh my god, am I wrong all this time? Did I support the kind of white establishment when I should have been a bit more open to it? But obviously, we learn that, again, Sam literally spells out that's his perspective, and like you kind of hear his points and move on. No, sorry, his sister spells it out more, where she's like, are you gonna listen to that old man? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you understand where he's coming from, but that's his point of view, that's his story, that's his experiences. You don't have to be like that. You can adapt and learn and pick up the traits and move forward, and with respect to what he's been through, and that, in effect, I saw that as like passing the mantle in a weird zigzag way, kind of sorta.
I mean, because you could kind of see like Sam's thought process about that shield has changed once he knew Isaiah existed, because
he was getting a bit emotional. I saw. I don't know if that was just me. Absolutely. Sam was like getting a bit
absolutely, because you're right, and I think it speaks to how, especially in the States, how certain black people of a certain age view the establishment, because they were treated, especially like in the South, and Sam even brings up, like, I know how it was in the South, especially. So if you're a man of a certain age, of a certain color, in the South, you're gonna feel a certain way about establishment, about the police, or in this case, like living in Captain America's shadow. I don't think he has ill feelings about Cap himself, just the legacy of Cap, because like he had to,
because he didn't mention Steve Rogers at any point.
He built like this blonde-eyed, blue-eyed, like kind of figure. Like them having him had to be compared to that legacy, not necessarily Steve himself, the legacy of Cap. So it's not like I don't think he had like ill will to Cap. The legacy of Cap is what he has ill will with, and the fact that the government, like he says, never would wanted me to have that. And then just kind of like, well, we're just gonna see why this serum worked on you, and again, I mean, we said it with Carly, we said it with Lamar and Walker. I would have loved to see some more backstory.
He needs his own series. That's what
I mean, you're not wrong, or at least maybe a specific episode of him like sitting down with Sam and them just like giving us a backstory episode of like his adventures. Like Cobra Kai, like you brought it up, like Cobra Kai, so like just like him explaining to Sam and explaining to us exactly what he was going through. Because
imagine if we saw the flashback scenes as he was explaining, like his narration, and him saving the other soldiers. That'd have been awesome, man. That'd be,
because that's kind of what I as soon as they were sitting down, I'm like, I thought that's what was gonna happen. Right. Like as he's telling the stories, we're actually gonna see like a de-aged version of himself, like with the shield, like fight. Like I thought we were gonna see that, and again, just me wanting more from the series, because I thought that moment it would have been cool to see of what could have been.
Yeah,
because if
and
he
then
lived
like
in a different
contrasting scene of him being arrested or like experimented on, that'd have been emotional. Like, emotional. That'd be cool.
I mean, it was emotional anyway. Don't get me wrong, but just like visually seeing it as he's telling the story, like because you don't have to hear what's happening in the flashback. You could just hear his voice tell the story and see the visuals and see him imagine like that nurse is canning in the box and opening up, seeing the letters, looking at it for the first time, realizing that they kept it from him all this year. It would have been like, oh man, like it would have really punched it home even more so than it did already. But either way, like even with that being said, the scene worked.
Yeah, of course.
Great. And then as he's leaving, you can just see like Sam just like take an exhale of like everything he just learned, and just him calling his sister like, I'm coming home. And then we cut to him being at home talking with his nephews, trying to fix the boat up, and then them having a conversation about like him and his sister about like, oh, do you want to talk about it? And he's like, yeah, not really. And then him kind of getting the troops together, like, all these people owe my parents. Let's get the boat fixed. And then he makes all these calls, and they start building all these, bringing all these equipment and stuff in. And then Bucky comes in with a gift from the Wakandans for Sam in a suitcase. So we know what's in that suitcase. They've been teasing it, and I like that they didn't really address it at the time. So your thought process about the montage of them like getting the boat fixed, and then Bucky coming back in.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it really slowed down after that point.
Really
like,
did.
just So I do understand if people had issues with it, but I quite liked it. It was just seeing kind of getting the community together to kind of help out. Sam and his family and stuff. And I just really like Bucky. Honestly, like, he is. No matter what happens in the story, he is my favorite character in the story. Like, just seeing him and just helping out Sam, and just going back and forth and just building their relationship.
Yeah.
And him just flirting with his sister, I thought was hilarious.
Like,
he's like, hey, Evie, go stop it. He goes, yeah. Like, I just find it so charming. I think it's just maybe the actor Sebastian Stan. In fact, I've made a point. I'm going to watch I, Tonya tonight just because of him in particular. But yeah, like, I just it's super fun just seeing him and them two together. On a nice backdrop, and the sister kind of coming in and out of each other's scene and stuff. But I don't know what's going on with his arm. Maybe there's some kind of mechanical issue, and maybe we're going to see that come to fruition in the last episode. But made a point of asking him as well, why didn't you lift that with your arm? He said he couldn't. Oh no, he said he just deflected.
Well, he said no. He pretty much says like that he's natural. He doesn't always remember to use it because he's right-handed.
But we saw the kind of electronics go.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's going to be a thing. It could be, but I just thought it was kind of funny because like he's like, oh, I'm right-handed. So yeah, I do like it did slow down, but it's something that needed to happen.
Yeah, they need to they need to have that conversation, right?
Yes,
and it was before they were comfortable with that. They need to build their bridges basically, and it was via Sam. Sam. Bucky reaching out to Sam, and then because obviously Sam's got a lot on in the moment, so it's Bucky, of course, just generally, but they both kind of came together through these few scenes, and then obviously had that conversation.
I loved it. And then we go to Walker talking to Lamar's parents. Pretty much saying that he got justice for Lamar by
I really like that scene. It was so slimy.
Slimy, really, really slimy. It's like, I got the guy who killed Lamar, and then it just felt really uncomfortable watching his mom talking to Walker like, oh,
because they clearly love him, like they're friends, or like they've got family, friends, or whatever. And, the sister's emotional, they're all emotional, and he's saying, I killed him, and like. It kind of doesn't, there's like an empty space there now.
Was that his sister or was that Lamar's wife? I don't know.
I don't know. I thought the mom and dad was there. I presumed his sister. That could be my mistake.
But it just felt really uncomfortable. The fact that they're like, we know you got justice for Lamar, and Lamar loved you, and he was talking. He called me all the time, telling me how proud he is of you, of being Captain America, and yada yada yada. And you could just see him just like, oh my god! Like, I gotta get out of here. I can't take this. It's just like, if you need me, you know where I am, and just kind of like him ducking out of there. Because you're right. It was just super slimy. Because we all know like he just murdered a guy, and he didn't
that was
really get justice for anybody.
Like, the last straw for him. Like, I think before he took the serum, the last straw was him speaking to Lamar about taking the serum. And in effect, Lamar just said, just. Would I take it? That kind of thing enhances what you've already got or something. And then this was a bit similar to that. I felt like with his family getting the kind of sympathy off them to like, okay, let me do my own thing now. So it was him kind of manipulating Lamar and his family. That's what I saw in that scene. So he kind of doing it again for his own benefit to try and give him his the encouragement that he needs.
Yeah, he's almost like lying to himself, like, see, I'm doing the right
thing. It was
thing.
It was dark. It was lit so dark, and I just noticed It was a really uncomfortable scene.
Oh yeah, and then when he walks outside and he's walking by his own poster there, I think he just feels like, I'm still the good guy here. Everybody else is wrong. I'm the good guy. I'm still Cap. He walks. His Cap is back, and I think it's saying Cap is back. Pretty much tells him like, yeah, I got to get back in the game. It's time to go to work. So that's how I looked at it. Like he has to get back into the game. Like I did the thing. I told Lamar's parents. I kind of put that aside. Now I got to get back to work. Time to go to work. That's how I saw him looking at that poster. 100%, and then we see what happens to him, later on. So we see Sharon Carter talking to Leaper, pretty much like saying, I got you out of jail. I got a job for you. I'll pay you double. So it's really interesting to see. I hope she's not the power broker, because that'd just be like too like on the nose. But they gotta explain what she's doing and why she's doing it. That they gotta do. So what are your thoughts about Sharon Carter?
Just like what, even with the power broker in general, we don't know who it is. We don't know. We've got no answers from them. Like we don't know their involvement in the story. I'm assuming that they have some kind of connection together. Power broker and Sharon. But I don't know. Like, that's a bit up in the air. I'd say the flag smashes and the power broker stuff. That stuff isn't flushed out as much as the rest of it. So I'm a bit like Sharon's involvement now in the story. Technically, it really isn't anything. Kind of after her episode, it's like it's a bit of a shrug the shoulders thing. So unless, like I said, she's linked with the power broker and we get them answers in the final episode, but they have been stringing this out for quite a while now. So I would have liked more information going into the last episode, but it's a bit shrug of the shoulders kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean the last episode is, in my opinion, has to be the longest one, because they got a lot of work to do. Because
this one was long though. This was 50 something, I think.
This was. I mean, with the credits, it's an hour, but think of it. Sharon Carter, like obviously we're gonna see Zemo again. Flag Smashers, Bucky, Sam. They're gonna fight the Leaper at some point.
Carly.
Carly. Like. The show's got a lot of, and Bucky's gonna go back to the guy in the first episode. We're gonna definitely get that scene. So there's a lot of stuff for them to do.
Exactly.
So it better be like the episode has to be over an hour. Like minus the credits, it has to be over an hour because the show really has a lot of work to do. So I like the fact that we see Bucky and Sam obviously, kind of playing catch a little bit and just having the conversation that we wanted them to have, them throwing the shield back and Sam catching it, Bucky catching it, and Bucky pretty much apologizing to Sam, just saying like, you know what, I kind of understand why you gave up the shield, and saying, you know what, it would be hard for a black man to have it, and apologizing to Sam, and then Sam kind of, giving him some advice about like, putting in the work, not just trying to avenge the people on his list, but actually trying to be there for them. And pretty much saying it without saying it is like, go to that guy, explain what happened to his son, because that would be the right thing to do. That's how you would wake up without these nightmares. And I love the fact that, real quick, right before that, he woke up on Sam's couch. Wasn't sleeping on the floor, was sleeping on the couch, and woke up peacefully. So you kind of see Sam's influence on Bucky is kind of healing him in a way. So I do think we're actually going to get that scene where he goes back to that gentleman and explains what happens to his son, because I think he feels like he's earned the right to do it. Your thoughts?
Yeah, and they woke up. The kids woke him up. It's as if that was like Bucky and Captain America, like fighting with the shield. So it was really sweet. And then just a good point that you made, like playing catch. I didn't kind of think of it in that way, but yeah, absolutely. And him basically saying, we didn't realize giving you the mantle would be so difficult, and we didn't put out, and they said, literally said, I'm sorry, as he gave it back. So but Sam said some very interesting things. He said, regards to what Steve, he's like, it doesn't matter what Steve thought. He's like, he's not here, and I'm glad he's not here. I was a little shocked saying that, even after Isaiah, but he kind of, as his sister told him as well, like, you don't have to, listen to what that old man says. Like, don't let him kind of get you down, kind of thing. So he seems like he's understood what he said and took it on board, but still moving on in the way he wants to be Captain America, you know, with respect to what's happened with the whole kind of Captain America kind of legacy, with what it's done, what the Shield represented, and what it's done to Black people, but at the same time moving forward with the Shield in his own way. And you know, even this training montage I think represents that as well, like mastering how to use it in his own way. So yeah, I thought that was interesting. But yeah, even just them kind of doing the whole, you know, Predator kind of handshake thing, just the kind of optics of it, that just to symbolize, oh, okay, they're on board now, they're on the same page, you know, the boys now, kind of thing. So yeah, I liked it. You know, like they've had the whole thing of working together, getting bringing Bucky into his family, kind of thing. You know, staying at his house, getting to work in the community. He's even saying the community is all nice. Learning about his family, becoming and then settling the issue of, you know, about the whole. So you know, Sam didn't have to explain about why he doesn't need to kind of why he gave it away or anything like that, because now kind of some of the reasons is kind of, you know, unfolded, and now Bucky knows, like, oh, we didn't consider, because even when they were talking, I did like the way that it seemed like Bucky must have had these conversations with Steve Rogers about giving him the shield, whether he's an old man or whether it was kind of before that, as he was younger, like talking about giving the shield to Sam, that kind of thing, and moving that way forward. But even they made a point of saying Steve isn't here anymore, and I thought, oh, what does that mean? That's so open-ended. Or obviously it sounds like Steve's he's died, gone. But he's like, Steve, Steve, we don't know what that means. What does that mean? Does it mean he's they're acting like he's died? But if he's an old man, I mean, is he, what condition he's in? You know, that kind of thing. It's very interesting. But yeah, I like, finally they've made up. I think me and Aisha spoke about it lots of times. Like, I feel like, to be honest, if I'm being perfectly honest, I feel like they could have done this in the first or second episode, and then just kind of carried on with the action adventure stuff. But I do understand, because we've got the kind of flushed out story about the legacy of the Shield and stuff. So I do appreciate that. But yeah, I kind of maybe would have liked to seen it earlier, to be honest. But because, as you said, because they've got so much to do in the final episode, they could have dealt with this storyline a little bit earlier, and then kind of flushed out the rest going into the back end of the series. But fair enough, they've done it. Absolutely was needed, and it was a great scene as well.
Yeah, and I do like the fact that, like, it's like, yes, Steve's gone, but it doesn't necessarily matter what he thinks at this point, because like they can't necessarily rest on what Steve would have done. What Isaiah
we're not Steve. Done. We're not him.
Exactly.
Like, we're not Isaiah. Same thing. Like,
exactly.
They've been through their own circumstances. We've got to do our thing ourselves. Yeah.
And I love that Sam, and I get what you're saying, and I get what Aisha was saying earlier, but in the prior reviews, but I feel like the reason why it took this long is because we had to go all the way around to kind of see Sam view everybody's point of view about Cap and about the Shield. So we see how Bucky views it, we see how Isaiah views it, we see how Walker views it, we see how Carly views it,
the government view it,
the government, like we see how everybody's viewed it and their perspectives of, like, who Cap was, who Sam is, and the legacy of that shield. So once Sam has learned more about it, it makes more of a educated decision for him to then want to take it again. Versus, like, so I'm just glad we didn't have to wait another episode. Like, another thing for the last episode to do. I'm glad they just, you know, put it to bed. But I still like that they were just joking back and forth, kind of like, we're partners, and instead of like, yeah, we're coworkers. So I just like, whoop. I just like the fact that they're still kind of messing with each other. They still have that, like, we're cool, but we're still, like, riffing off of each other.
Yeah, we still got the banter.
Yeah. And then we see, like, Sam training with the Shield, and then just, like, trying to figure out how to get the angles right, and flipping and all that stuff, and running with his nephews. Like, I loved all of that. Like, all of that was just great. I would have liked to see that, again, it be a little longer, because it seemed like because we don't know how long that montage was, like, in terms of time, kind of picked it up pretty quickly. I mean, like, he's not a super soldier, so him just, like, catching the shield like it's nothing, like how Bucky and Walker were catching it when they had the serum. It's like, okay, I get it. But it was just great to see. Like, what do you think of the montage of Sam training with the Shield?
Yeah, it was good. I mean, it was missing everything bar the Rocky music, I feel. either tiger or something. And yeah, no, I think maybe it's just the way that the technology is built in the shield, because Walker can use it quite efficiently as well. So I
Yeah.
think maybe it's just a part of the vibranium Wakandan technology, the way it's used. And that was an interesting thing as well. Like, you know, they mentioned um, the shield doesn't belong to anyone. Technically, it
Yes.
belongs to the Wakandans, right? Because you know they've built it. That's the way I
I mean,
saw it. So that's
I mean
why
that
he
could have been
can. That's why,
that could have
because
been what
like,
she was alluding to,
yeah,
because she's like
because
it's a
like,
gray area.
yeah, and that he hasn't been. I don't know if he will be kind of knighted as Captain America kind of thing, but the way I saw it is, oh, that's like a revelation of Sam taking it upon himself, because it's, you know, I'm assuming he's going to tell them, oh, this isn't your shield. This is, you know, it's, there's a gray area. There's, you know, this, I can be Captain America without you kind of knighting me as Captain America, that kind of thing. So, so I can just take the shield and use it as I will. But yeah, it was a great montage, and yeah, I mean, he's training, because I'm presuming he's going to be quite um he's going to use it loads in the final episode. So I think it was just a little indicator for us to say, okay, he's been training, so before we get into it, like, you know, he's good with the shield.
Yeah,
But
he's
yeah,
gonna be whipping
because
that thing
as well, you
around.
know, he's like an Avenger. That's where I saw it. Like, if you're an Avenger, I just automatically assume like you are strengths at a certain level, your speeds, you're you know, athletic enough, you've been through your training, so you can do all these little backflips and catch the shield and stuff. So yeah, that kind of stuff. So I give him a pass. If he wasn't an Avenger, I'd be like, whoa, what's going on here? But I just kind of give him a pass because he's an Avenger. But yeah, of course, I'd like to see him more. But yeah, it was probably needed going into the final episode.
Well, yeah, because you're right. Because like, if they don't show that, and then you see in the final episode, he's whipping that thing around, like, it's like, well, how the hell does Sam know how to
Yeah,
do that?
exactly.
Like, so I do see that shield being whipped around a whole lot next episode. So looking forward to it. And then obviously we see Carly in New York with the rest of the Flag Smashers, and we see the Leaper come in, pretty much like, I'm just here to kill Sam. I just want to kill Sam. I don't care what you guys are doing. I want to kill Sam. They want to stop the GRC from voting about the Patch Act. So that's their agenda. So we kind of know where they're going into the next episode's going to be. Torres pretty much tells Sam that, hey, you know, they were getting all these readings from Europe, and now I just got one from New York. And she's like, don't worry, Torres, I'll take it from here. And then he opens up the suitcase, and then he takes a deep breath, because so we know what the Wakandans did. He built, and it makes sense that the tech now came from Stark before, but now it's coming from Wakanda because Tony's not there. So it makes sense that his suit would come from Wakanda. And I'm hoping that it also helps him use the shield, because if you remember in Age of Ultron, Tony gave Cap like a magnet type thing for the shield to always come back to him.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if Sam's gonna have something like that, so you can, you know, don't worry about like how the shield is gonna always get back to him. Like, I hope there's some tech that's gonna be more involved. So obviously he's gonna have his own suit that has his own wings and everything like that. So I'm glad that we didn't see it. They just alluded to it, and it cuts right there. Your thoughts about what Carly's doing, the Leaper's gonna do, and now Sam opening the suitcase.
Yeah, and Carly Flag Smashers is like at least we did see the GLC guys though. That's the first scene we've had really with them. So I was like, oh, okay, finally. But even like the agents were just kind of whispering to each other, and then they kind of take it under, you know, under hostage kind of thing. So it was like, I still need a bit more, but at least I got a scene of there. But yeah, it's like seems to be all coming together. And obviously Bucky said, "No, just call me when you need me," in effect. And so yeah, he's obviously going to chase Carly, and then he'll call Bucky. And then yeah, like with the suit and stuff. Yeah, I just thought it was such a good way to cut it, because like you're going to see the next episode, you're going to say, whoa, because he's going to look sick. You know, he's going to have the tech, like you said, probably some wings, some variable of like a wing, and like with the tech, with the shield and stuff. So yeah, it will be like Captain America 2.0 kind of thing. So yeah, I like the way it finished, and yeah, super excited to see what his suit is next episode.
Yeah, I mean, they did a great job of laying the foundation of what we're going to see in the next episode. So, especially with Carly and the Flag Smashers and the Leaper. So we know, like, Sam's going to fight the Leaper at some point.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's going to fight. Bucky's going to be involved. So those are givens. But I'm just looking forward to. Hopefully, we they don't wait too long for us to give us a suit. Just like start the episode, put the suit on, just put it on. Like we know it's there. Just don't like drag.
We got
that
too
shit
much
out.
to cover.
Exactly.
To like you're
put it on. Just put it on, and let's go. Like time to go to work.
You got
Let's
toys to
just
sell.
go.
Yeah, let's sell it from the first minute.
Well, yeah, exactly. Well, they're gonna sell those toys anyway. But just like let's go. So obviously the episode ends there, and then I was thinking to myself like, wow, there's a lot of time left for these credits, and then we get our first after mid credit scene with Walker building his own shield. And so it kind of goes back to him just like looking at that poster. It's like time to go back. So he's building his own shield. You can see him taking one of the metals and kind of building, etching the star from his metal, and then like spray painting it. So we know he's going to have his own shield. So now we know he's going to be back in action fighting. Like, who is he going to be fighting? Does he still want to go kill Carly? Yeah, exactly. Does he want to kill Carly? Does he want to kill Sam? Does he want to kill Bucky? Like, what does he want? Where does he fall in with all of that? So that's going to be an interesting dynamic to see where he falls. What do you think?
Yeah, same kind of thing. So when I initially saw it, I was like, whoa, like what are you doing? Because obviously the last scene we saw him in was with the Mars family. And they were talking about, not directly, but they were talking about the Flag Smashers. So I presume that's his main motivation. But of course, he's going to run into Bucky and Sam, no doubt. But yeah, you don't know if he, like with these kind of characters, like I think he may get a redemption kind of moment or scene because we saw his wife as well. That's normally like an indicator for me, like, oh, like they're not totally evil. Like, you know, there's some like redeeming qualities there kind of thing, and they're saying he loves him, so I see like maybe sprinkling as a potential redemption thing. Maybe he might team up with them. That'd be cool, like Captain America plus Captain America 2.0 with Sam plus Bucky. That would be a cool moment. And maybe Torres if he comes in late with that kind of thing, so that might be fun. And yeah, just with the Flag Smashers, Carly, I don't know. Yeah, that would be an interesting thing to come up to. But I did find it weird that he's building it himself. You know, that's Wakandan's build that shield. It's got tech, it's vibranium. He's just doing it himself. We don't know what material it is. But this was actually spoiled to me, this scene, because people have noticed in the trailers that this, in some of the scenes in the edits, that the shields was different in some of the edits. So people were smart enough to see that there was going to be another shield, like because in there, I think obviously we're going to see in this the star in the middle, obviously behind you, it has like some kind of weird markings in the middle. So so people noticed that in the trailer. Yeah, like people paused there, whatever, freeze framed it and stuff. So people were smart enough, and I was like, oh, okay, they were right. So that was cool. But I just want to say, summarizing as well. Obviously going into the last episode, like we said, lots to cover. I do have one negative though in this episode. So I think we kind of covered it really, where lots of character development, which is great, much needed, absolutely, with Isaiah, with Sam, with Bucky, but there was a lack of development in the story arcs for some people. Like I felt like Zemo, I just felt it was just kind of abruptly marched off. Carly, just there isn't really enough there for me. And I'd say the Dora Milaje as well. They kind of just came in for Zemo and they've just marched him away. I said it last week. I would have liked more of them, and like them, they could have sticked around for the kind of against the Flag Smashers. Like, why not? Like, have them more. Yeah, they might do. Who knows? But I would have liked to see them more. They're my own real negatives in terms of Bucky and them guys. They're awesome. It's just the side characters are like a bit. I don't really. I didn't really love them, and apart from Zemo, I didn't really love their involvement, and they kind of just all abruptly ended this episode. So, or we didn't get enough of Carly, so I was a little bit underwhelmed with that. So that's why this isn't my favorite episode. I'm not gonna lie, it was really good. There's no episode I don't like at all, but there was just some things that I was like, oh, okay, like you could have done more there. But yeah, overall, obviously, solid episode. But going into the last one, lots to cover. But yeah, really complex last episode that they've got to do.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're pretty much spot on in terms of like this episode took up all the side characters took a back seat for Sam and Bucky to kind of get where they needed to go for whatever happens in the last episode and whatever happens to their relationship going forward. So all the things we've been wanting to happen with Sam and Bucky happened in this episode, but sacrificing Carly, all they did with Carly is to set up to what she's gonna do in the next episode. I think there's just setting up Zemo for what he's gonna do in the next. Like, if this is the last we see of Zemo, then I would like they totally dropped the ball with Zemo, totally. But I don't think they're going to, so I'm not worried. I'm hoping that we get one more like emotional conversation between Sam and Carly, and that could be on her deathbed or what have you. But also, you brought up with Walker. I do think he's going to get redeemed in a way. Like in the comics, he obviously takes on the U.S. agent costume and mantle. So is that what he could eventually be doing? And then would it surprise me if he teamed up with Sam and Bucky? No, because they kind of have a similar enemy at this point with the Flag Smashers. So that would be nice to see, especially if they do want to end up redeeming him for that to happen. So I'd be looking forward to it. There's just so much stuff that's the next. Like it has to be over an hour. Minus credits, and obviously I'm pretty sure we better get 2 end credit, like a mid and a post. But yeah, I'm just super excited. Like Thursday night at midnight can't come soon enough for me. I'm gonna be looking forward to this.
My book off work, one of them ones.
Yeah, and then I can't wait to talk about it because so I think what we'll do is we'll obviously cover that episode, and then the next week after that there'll be the making of. So I think we can cover that, but then also just cover where do we think all these characters that are left go forward in whatever we think they're going to go forward in. So I think that's how we'll cover that. But yeah, so Bogz, thanks for reviewing it with me. This was a great conversation between the two of us. I do miss the ladies.
Who needs the girls? No, you don't need
it. We do need it. It's just always nice to see
definitely.
Women's point of view, especially in this.
Yeah,
one. Especially if we learn more about. Yeah, especially if we learn more about Sharon Carter. If she's a power broker, like, oh man, I'm curious to see what they think about that. If that's what they do. But yeah, just super excited about the next episode. But what do you guys think? That's our review. What do you think about the conversation between Sam and Isaiah? Thought that was amazing, well needed. The fact they didn't sugarcoat it was just like props to Disney, props to Marvel. And I still think Sam and the government are gonna have that conversation because now that Sam has the wings, he's gonna be wearing the star. He has the shield. I think we could still
just randomly thought as well. Don Cheadle's what's his character's name?
Rhodey.
Yeah. So surely he's got to come back. Then I'm presuming they didn't do like a 10-minute cameo. For like the first episode. Surely they're gonna have his involvement.
Yes, I totally forgot about him because he did say in the beginning.
As you just said, government. Now I was like, oh yeah, forgot about that. So.
Keep me posted. I'll be in touch. So it would be weird if he doesn't pop back in, just like even if it's like for a couple of minutes. You're totally right. So that's another thing that the show's got to do is pay off that. So yeah, but I do think we can still get the government kind of like unwillingly kind of like signing off on him being the new Cap. Like, hey, we don't want to do it, but we kind of have to do it. So I'm hoping we get that. I think we kind of do need it, but we'll see. But what are your guys' thoughts? Leave your comments down below. Also like, subscribe. We're definitely going to do a review on the final episode, and then we'll recap the series as a whole. And we'll also be like starting to look forward to Loki because that's the next Marvel show, and that looks super weird and super interesting. And I can't wait for that because it's just going to be a different show. Like WandaVision was one thing, this is its own thing, and that's going to be its own thing too. So the year of the Marvel just continues to ride forward. So, Bogz, any last thoughts?
No, like I kind of agree with what you're saying. I really hope it's longer than an hour. I'm completely fine with the times though. This series, like they've been really good. Like I've never been an episode where I thought, oh, that's not enough, or like I did with probably almost every season of The Mandalorian. So even WandaVision as well, I felt that sometimes. So really hoping it's long. The lots to tie cover in, so it should be super interesting. And they're doing good to cover some of the things this episode. Credit to Marvel and Disney and stuff. But I'm loving it. I can't wait. And of course Loki's coming. So let's hear your guys' thoughts. As Sean said, let's put it in the comments. We're getting loads of comments recently, so appreciate that. drop your comments in, like the video, subscribe, all that good stuff. So
Yeah, absolutely. And we don't want a longer episode just because we want longer episode. We just think this last episode just needs to be longer so that you can feel like after watching, like, all right, this is satisfying. Whether we get a season 2 or we don't, you want to feel like, okay, the time I invested paid off. So that's what I'm looking for. Season 2 or no, I just want to be like, because I felt WandaVision ended pretty well, in my opinion, for the most part. So that felt satisfying. I just want this season to feel, this show to feel satisfying, and then I'll be able to tell you whether I like this more than WandaVision. Right now, it's hard to say.
I haven't mentioned it yet, but I do think it's better than WandaVision. I don't know if I've...
have you said that?
No, not yet. So I just like to.
Do you not like?
That. In my personal opinion.
Do you not like WandaVision? I don't know.
I don't know. I've not mentioned it, but yeah. So I don't really. No, not really. Yeah.
No. Anyways, so that's our review. And then until next time, for Bogz, for myself, for whole PCU, we miss you, Soul and Aisha. Hopefully they'll be part of the review next week, and we'll see you next time. Take care, guys.